You're the one who's pushing everybody else. It's football season, so I'm all in it. So you're the one who's pushing that pile, right? Your team forward into the end zone. And I'm here to coach you. I'm here to empower you to move forward and grow. Hi, it's Dr. Phyllis. Welcome back to the Resilient Woman podcast. Today is episode 53. And in today's episode, the topic is Unstuck Power 101. Get your mind where you want your feet to be. Get your mind where you want your feet to be. For the past weeks, and probably more the past months, I have been encouraging you resilient woman, to dream big. And you have heard me talk about aspiring to have your resilience joy fueled, not task fueled, not external validation, the expectation of others, the narratives of others, the not feeling enough fueled. That's not true resilience. True resilience is having it joy fueled. And today I want to talk about getting unstuck. As many talk about daily, I feel stuck. And I want you to understand that you have a choice. You have a choice. Often resilient women on the outside look like they got it going on, right? Don't you feel that way? That people from the outside feel that you've got it going on, you've got all the answers, you're juggling everything, you've got it all together, you are going to church, you are working in the community, you are the mother, the wife, the auntie, the, as I call it, junior matriarch, you are high performing at work, you are high achieving. Yet, what used to give you a feeling of satisfaction no longer gives you satisfaction. What you thought made you happy, the running around and feeling important and getting worth from checking things off the list, no longer is giving you that high. And now, despite all the external signs that you are productive, you actually don't feel productive. You actually feel stuck. And maybe you feel like you're depleted all the time. That's what makes you feel stuck. So you feel unproductive. You feel like you're not organized. You feel like you're not keeping up. You feel like your energy's depleted. You feel overwhelmed, and you just no longer feel that you're growing. Or maybe you feel you've hit a ceiling where there is no more room to grow. And sis, I'm here to tell you, you have a lot more in you. There's a lot more for you. And so I want you today to understand that being stuck is not permanent. Often we go from label to label, right? We go from striving. I'm a striver. I'm a achiever. I wear all the hats. And then others have the labels of I'm in imposter syndrome. Or you've jumped into the label of I'm stuck. And I want you to know again, you do not have to stay stuck. You don't have to stay stuck. You have the power to get unstuck. Yes, it may take a little work, but you can get unstuck. And the first step, as we talked about last week during the podcast, is what is it that you really want? Is I want you to just stop for a minute. And I want you to think about, where do you really want to be? What do you really want? As we talked about before. But now, when you envision where you want to be, and that takes a lot of permission, you have to give yourself permission. I was thinking today about the old game. Don't know if you remember this game, don't know if they still play it. It's called red light, green light. When I was a little girl, it didn't take a lot of fancy things for us to play. We played outside, and we would play red light, green light. So the person who was, I don't even know what we called him, the one who was kind of like leading the game, and they would tell people to, green light, red light, and they would say red light, everybody was supposed to stop. And then just randomly they'd say green light, then everybody was supposed to speed up. Then when they said red light, you're supposed to stop again. And whoever didn't stop, you had to leave the game. So the winner of the game is the one who was able to quickly respond and stop and start when they were told to. And I think that we easily, as resilient women, because we are wired to play by the rules, we are wired to try to get along, and we've been raised, or in the world that we have grown up in, to believe that you play by the rules, you work hard, everything is gonna. And we also wait for permission for someone to tell us to grow, that it's okay to grow, or for someone to give us the keys to open the door to the next season. And I'm here to tell you that is a myth. That's fine when we were playing those childhood games. But today says you have to exert your power. Just like you take that power over to encourage everyone else, you encourage everybody else to hold on to their power. You encourage everyone else to live their dreams. You're the one who's pushing everybody else. It's football season, so I'm all in it. So you're the one who's pushing that pile, right? Your team forward into the end zone. And I'm here to coach you. I'm here to empower you to move forward and grow. And I want you today to know that you have the power to get unstuck, and that you deserve it. You deserve to take hold of your power to get unstuck. And I want you to also know you deserve to think beyond your current situation. Just as you did, being very forward thinking, achieving all of your degrees and certifications, your training, working hard every day to make sure you meet the deadlines, your team meets the deadlines, you carrying all the responsibility, you making sure that everyone at home is doing what they're supposed to do. I want you to now stop. I want you to look forward to, if you just closed your eyes for a moment. Now, if you're not driving, I don't want you closing your eyes. But where you are right now, if you can, I want you just to close your eyes for a moment. I don't want you to get caught up into what it will take to get there. I don't want you to get caught up on all the reasons why it won't work or why you can't do. I want you right now to think about where you are, and I want you to think about where you want to be. What do you want your life to look like? What do you want your life to look like? What are the feelings you want to have? Are they feelings of joy? Which, that's a big one for me, because as I always tell you, happiness is nice, but it's fleeting, it's temporary, it's situation based. But joy is a deep down feeling that you're present and that you are living life with intention. Is it you want peace? Is it that you want to feel that you are growing and you're tapping back into some of those passions and other callings that you have felt that God has for you, yet have been put to the side? Is it being able to be creative? Is it being able to just have quiet, to have a time where you can just have your own thoughts? Is it being in another work situation? Is it working, having your own business? Is it spending more time with those who you care about? What is it that you would like your life to look like? How do you want to feel? Where do you want to be? And when you have that in mind, when you can, I want you to write that down. I want you to write it down on a piece of paper, in a journal, on your phone. I'm always dictating while I'm walking the dog. Some thought comes to my mind, I put it in my phone, or I'm driving around and God puts something in my mind. I'll, you know, dictate it. I want you to write it down or dictate it. And I then want you to give yourself permission, and I want you to tell yourself, God has given me the power to get where I want my feet to be. You have to start with the end in mind. The same way you did during your training, the same way you did in other parts of your life, you had a goal in mind and you did the work to get you there. Now, I want you to give yourself permission to take that same power, that same determination, to start working on where you want to be. Because that at the core is having that power. So that feeling of being stuck doesn't take you and just throw you in this hole. And once you start going there, those negative limiting thoughts take over and you go to a dark place and you can't have joy. That's what being stuck is. You feel like there are no options. And it starts in the mind. And I'm going to tell you, when Satan can get busy and he starts getting into our heads, those old narratives, negative experiences, then they start infiltrating our spirits and you feel stuck. But there is always other options. Always. So for this week, I want you to take that piece of paper, take that dictation, and for this week, I want you to think about, where do you want your feet to be? And this is our theme for the next weeks, is where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? And often, people talk about, where do you see yourself? Those common interview questions for jobs. Where do you envision yourself in a year, in 2 years, in 3 or 5, 10? I'm a believer of living life with intention. And I'm a believer that every day we should be working toward where we want our feet to be. Don't put it off. I think it's better to keep that piece of paper, keep that dictation of what you want your life to look like. What do you want your mindset to be, your spirit to be, physically where you want to be? Now, a daily, don't put it off, and create that space every day. Be working toward that every day. And that's where the joy comes from. Where you're not looking for delayed gratification. And I'm not talking about material things. I'm not talking about necessarily having, the car or stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, what is it or where is it you want to be, where you feel joy, where you feel peace, where you feel that you are being replenished in what you're doing, the work you're doing, the service you're providing, the creativity that you are allowing to come out of you. Because you can have that, sis, along with the other hats that you wear. That's the thing. When we put off saying, okay, well, I'm wearing all these hats, I'm working hard, and when I get time, I'm going to do this. And remember we said, every day is a new opportunity. So every day I want you to think about, what do you want to feel? Where do you want your feet to be? Right? What do you want to feel? Where do you want your mind to be? Where do you want your spirit to be? Daily. And when you start looking at that, when you give yourself permission to think in that way, that you can have it all, that God wants you to have, then it gives you options. It gets you out of that stuck mindset. You want to get unstuck. I pause because I'm kind of laughing at myself because I talked about apologizing too much. last week, so it made it come back to mind. But in this place, I'm saying I'm sorry because I was not saying what I wanted to say, but I had to laugh at myself. That's why I paused. I want you to think about, where do you want your feet to be? Where do you want your mind to be? Where do you want your spirit to be? And physically, where do you want to be? And that's what this Resilient Woman podcast is about. It's what I feel my calling is to help you, to coach you into a new season where you can have resiliency and be the resilient woman you have been created to be by God, to be a blessing that you are to everyone, and at the same time continue to grow in your journey with Him. It has been such a pleasure. I hope that you've enjoyed this week's episode. And will you do me a favor? And will you do a favor for someone that you care about? Not only like and subscribe, which would be a huge blessing to me, so that we can get more people to know about this podcast, but also share it with another resilient woman. It is my prayer to grow the resilient woman nation so that we can come together and push each other to fully walk in who God has created us to be. I love you, and I look forward to seeing you here next week. Bye-bye now.